Hi, this is David Haslet, and this video is about how to do an interior space with one-point perspective. So the way that I like to start showing this is by doing a horizon line and a vanishing point right in the middle. And you'll recognize one-point perspective because this is that super traditional road that goes off into the distance leading to that one vanishing point. Here instead, I've got this box around here, and this is going to be the edge of the room or hallway. With that vanishing point, because it shows depth, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a line that goes to each of the corners. So here I'll line up my ruler, vanishing point, edge, and go up from there. Ruler to the edge and down, ruler to the edge and up, ruler to that lower edge and down. Here's the inside of my building. I'm going to give it a couple of doors. So here's the first one. Doors, like we know, have two sides, the posts. The lintel, though, on a sidewall is what changes. That lintel, the top part of the door, is going to point down to this vanishing point. But from where? I'm going to draw this light tracer line from that vanishing point. Here it happens to be lining up with that lower corner. You know, it'll still work, but just to make it a little easier to see, I'm going to bump it down just a little bit. Sometimes, unintentionally, we get optical illusions. That can be fun, but for this one, I want to make sure it's really clear. So I've got this line that goes to that vanishing point for the lintel. Then two verticals from that lintel, and here you'll start to see this door. If I want to have a second door the same size, I'm going to use the same tracer line and draw two verticals. Just making sure they're wider than the first because, of course, things get bigger as they come closer to us. And I'll draw a darker line over the top for that lintel. Now, if I erase some of these beginning lines, it'll be even easier to see how this space is evolving. Let's give it some thickness. So I'm going to do some horizontal lines from corners that are available. Here, horizontal lines, if I have them over here, we're not going to see them. So I need to use this one on the top and this one down below. Horizontal, across. They're just as horizontal as these two going across. And you can start to see this door is made into a hallway. Now, that same idea of a hallway, you can use that to show depth on a small scale. So let me show you what I mean. The second door, if I use this hallway idea with horizontals, then I can just bump it in a little bit. That's going to be the thickness. I can choose whatever I want for the thickness and do a vertical up from there. Wherever that vertical meets the horizontal on top, that is the thickness of your wall. And then to finish it off, I'll just use the vanishing point on the top for the thickness of the lintel of the door. So here I am going from that last edge. I've lined up to the vanishing point, going up. There we go. And one more thing, if I continue these lines right over here on this hallway that I shaded, I'm going to create a lot more space and volume inside here on the side rim. So there's that horizontal. I'm going to pick it up right over here. Continuing, lining up here, continuing. I'll shade it the same way. And you can see much more volume. Now, what I'm going to do next is show a grid on the floor. If I have these lines here at the start, it helps me with spacing. You don't have to do it, but it can be helpful. I'm going to take my ruler and vanishing point and line up with each of those dots to try to make somewhat of a grid on the floor, some kind of flooring that helps with perspective. And from here, just like dotted lines on that classic road that goes off to the vanishing point, I'm going to do horizontal lines that are very close to each other. 1, 2. And the farther down I go, the wider the spacing. Just try to go straight across. So here we go. With those lines, all of a sudden it helps set the scene. Sometimes to create good perspective, all you need are a few more clues for a viewer, and a grid like this is a great way to get some clues. From here, I can do something like this hallway, but on the vertical scale. Just by one line, all of a sudden I've made this drop down to be like a pit, like this chasm. And I can have a lot of fun with that. But I can also use this idea on a small scale for something like steps. So here, I'll take another one off to the side. A small vertical, horizontal. Now I'm going to use my vanishing point. This is that zigzag-like feature that I showed in that two-point perspective video. So down, then across. Do that horizontal, down, and then across. And you can start to see these stairs come to be. Down. Now I'll do a little bit of shading, just because that can help like the hallway. Vertical hatching there, and you can see these stairs recede into the floor. So here you go, larger scale and smaller scale, both on the horizontal and the vertical, and you can start to see some really interesting features in this hallway and a lot of possibilities.